call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Ketlen Vieira takes on Macy Chiasson this Saturday at UFC Fight Night Vegas 107. This is a very evenly matched fight between these two ladies who are both, pretty big for the division, 5'11 and 5'8, and have a lot of high-level experience in the UFC. So curious to see how this one plays out. But Ketlen Vieira, she's 33, 5'8 with a 68-inch reach. Macy Chiasson is 33 as well. She's 5'11 with a 72-inch reach, so she'll be 3 inches taller and have a 4-inch reach advantage. Ketlen Vieira, she fights out of Nova União, Manaus. Really good gym down in Brazil. She's a really good wrestler, black belt in judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Has an 88% takedown defense, and had really good takedown defense in her fight with Kayla Harrison in her last outing back in October. As the fight progressed, she's doing a pretty good job of defending the takedowns against Kayla. Obviously, she got taken down a couple times in the first and the third round, which caused her to lose the fight, but looked really good against a gold medal judoka in Kayla Harrison. But she was susceptible to inside leg kicks in that fight. I feel like her striking didn't look the best compared to her previous fights, just because she was so worried about the takedowns from Kayla Harrison. Has a lot of power on the feet. Throws with a lot of heat, a lot of bad intentions. Had an absolute scrap with Irene Aldana for the round that it lasted. Has a really good right straight left hook combination. She does kind of wing her punches at times. Throws a lot of powerful hook combos. Doesn't really throw down the pipe straight punches, but controls the distance very well during engagements. Moves back defensively. Circles out of the pocket very well, and all around pretty defensively responsible. Outside of her KO loss to Irene Aldana, which was just an absolute firefight. But usually the one pushing forward and will stand her ground, willing to take one to give one. So kind of a brute out there on the feet, but also very good on the ground as well. No slouch on the ground, has really good submission game, and very good ground and pound. Macy Chiasson fights out of Fortis MMA. She's a switch stance fighter, likes to work in the clinch, use her height. She's probably the tallest female in the division at 5'11", so likes to get her underhooks, kind of lift up her opponents. You use her height and her length in the clinch to land knees, land elbows. She was getting tagged in her fight with Mayra Buenaselva, taking a lot of damage. Showed a good chin, but she can be hit. Really uses her striking to set up her takedowns. She wants to get to the ground, look for ground and pound, look for submissions. In one of her last fights, I think it was against Irene Aldana, she was getting tagged by Irene Aldana as well and kind of getting her legs beat up. Had her arm nearly broken by an armbar in that first round, where if you look back on the replay, she tapped in that transition, but took a lot of damage in that first round. Was able to come back in the second round and have some success. Got a takedown in the third round, but then got TKO'd with the liver kick from bottom, which isn't a great look. But she's a jiu-jitsu brown belt. She's got some submissions to her name, some KOs, decisions, but she's also been choked out by Raquel Pennington. So can be hurt, can be finished, but it's a very close fight. But I'm gonna go with Ketlen Vieira. I think Macy's used to kind of being the bigger, longer fighter, and she's missed weight a couple times trying to cut down to 135. She's fought up at 145 pounds, but in this fight she'll be longer. She'll have the bigger frame, but I think Ketlen Vieira is just going to be the thicker, stronger opponent. Macy Chiasson takes damage on the feet. Like I said, she was getting hit by Mayra Buenaselva and Irene Aldana, getting her legs beat up by Irene Aldana. And I just think Ketlen Vieira is more well-rounded. I think she's definitely better on the feet, has more power, has the better chin, is more physical, and I think she has the better grappling game. She's more credentialed, obviously, with double black belts, and I just think she's stronger on the ground than Macy Chiasson is, who I saw her not look the best against Irene Aldana on the ground, who I don't think is as good as Ketlen Vieira. And Irene Aldana is not really known as being a grappler. She's more of a boxer. But I just don't think Macy will have the size and length advantage she's used to having. She won't be as strong as she normally is in the clinch, controlling against the cage, getting her takedowns. I think Ketlen will be able to defend her takedowns and win the stand-up exchanges. She was getting taken down like by Kayla Harrison, like I said, but she did a good job of defending that, and she has an 88% takedown defense. And if she's defending, a lot of takedowns from Kayla Harrison, I think she's going to be able to defend the takedowns from Macy Chiasson, who's used to just being able to, use her length, her underhooks, and just being the bigger fighter to kind of get people to the ground. And I just don't think she's going to be able to do that in this one. I think Ketlen's, she's big, she's aggressive. I think she's the grittier, tougher fighter. I think she hits harder. I think she'll be pushing forward, throwing combos, defending takedowns. And I think she can get her own takedowns if she wants. She's got a takedown accuracy of 44% compared to Macy Chiasson's 38%. And I think she can work her own submission game and ground and pound game if she wants. I think that she's just better anywhere this fight goes. I think she's fought really good competition. You could argue she beat Raquel Pennington, so, would have been on a decent streak before heading into that Kayla Harrison fight, which was very even going into that third round. She got taken down and lost that round, but had a very competitive fight as a plus 700 underdog against, former, I think it was PFL world champion and Olympic gold medalist Kayla Harrison. But I just look back on Macy Chiasson's, some of her performances, like she's get wins over Panzi Kianzad, Marion Renault, Shayna Young, beat Mayra Buena Silva, but she was getting tagged in that first round. That second round against Mayra Buena Silva, she got a good takedown and landed a nasty elbow, and then as soon as they stood back up, the doctor stopped it. But she was taking a lot of damage in that fight and getting beat, and so she gets that fight, beats Pani Kianzad, didn't look the best against Irene Aldana, ends up getting TKO, got a split decision over Norma Dumont that you can argue she lost. She got choked out by Raquel Pennington, who isn't known as a jiu-jitsu practitioner really. She's more of a stand-up artist, brawler type of fighter. Loses to Lena Landsberg back in the day, and then all of her other wins are just not against the best competition. So I got to go with Ketlen Vieira to get this one done. I think she can get her out of there. I think she could sub her. I think she could TKO her. But I think regardless of whether she finishes her or not, I think she gets this one done. Thanks.